start with Iran. Launching a military satellite, Secretary Pompeo says that there must be an accounting, that Iran must be held responsible, and the president issuing orders for the U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard, to fire on any of those vessels that are harassing our ships in the area. What do you say?
I think it was just simply brilliant of President Trump. He's done three things really at once by that. Number one, he's got to have the Iranians scrambling because he's implying that we have intelligence about some impending attack. So they've got to be scrambling, looking internally. Where's our weakness? Who's leaking? The second thing is by putting that shot across the bow to Iran, he's now made it their responsibility. He's given them fair warning. He said, if you attack, I'm coming back. It'll be your fault if I am forced to do something. But I think also, knowing how President Trump thinks, he always thinks sort of the second and third level reaction. This is a shot across the bow at China, too. It's don't think that we're going to be distracted by the coronavirus. We know what you're up to, and we've even put 2 ships in the South China Sea. So don't think you're going to take advantage of us now.
And the response at the United Nations, violating a UN resolution, how much support will there be for action against Iran, a response from the United Nations to Iran's violation of that resolution?
Crickets. I mean, the Iranians, the United Nations has really shown itself to be a feckless organization. Where were they when this pandemic started? The World Health Organization works for the United Nations. Where were they? They were doing China's bidding. They were suppressing information about the coronavirus as a result of what they've done and their inadequacy, their incompetence, and their mendacity. We now have a worldwide pandemic. So, is the UN ever going to really criticize anybody other than Israel and the United States? Not in current times, sadly. And I think that China's position at the UN and its attempt to sort of maneuver itself into leadership of all these international organizations show that they're really not worth that much to, certainly to the United States and the democracies of the world.
And the issue of firing on those boats, I've often thought, as these have happened, particularly in the Obama years, frankly, when our sailors were taken without reaction, without response, and the idea that we would permit, that the U.S. Navy would permit one of these vessels that could be carrying high explosives, any number of things aboard them, and let them get within 30 feet of a U.S. warship. I am so proud that the president has stood up and said this will not be tolerated because the risks are just inordinate.
Yeah, and the way he's done it, though, is very effective because he's put 2 warships in the South China Sea, so China gets the message. And he has given forewarning to Iran. So anything that they would dare to do now, he's almost said, make my day. Anything that they want to do, they will be met swiftly and resoundingly, and they will not have the support of the world behind them because they've been warned, and now they're going to go do it anyway? I don't think so.
And the reaction of the world to now the knowledge that Iran and China and Russia are actively carrying out a campaign of disinformation against the United States. That's quite a trio that the world has to consider what they're doing. I'd like to hear what you think about the prospects for a response that would be appropriate.
Well, I think, first of all, this is not the 2 allies China was hoping to have. Iran, Russia, that's a real rogues gallery. I mean, this is not the place that they thought they would be. They thought they would be the leader of the world and that all the Western countries and others would sort of proclaim China's greatness. Well, that's not happened. In fact, I think that China's action, using the Wuhan virus as a bioweapon to spread the pandemic around the world, I think it is, in fact, a real wake-up call, not only to us, but to other countries in the world, countries that China has tried to blackmail in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and countries that really feel that they've been mistreated by China. So rather than being an effective propaganda campaign, I think that the United States has a real opportunity, particularly under Trump's leadership, to assemble these countries and to say we've all had enough with China, and to stand up to them, not just as one. They'll pick us off one at a time. But if we stand united together, I think under Trump's leadership, because he's shown that he's willing to stand up to China, I think that we actually have a chance of.
Well, you surely don't mean that you think
the
that China would be picking us, as you put it, pick us off? I don't think so.
No, but they
KT.
will. But others. Others. No. Others. I mean, they've gone to some of the European countries, but they've said to them,
you threw me when you said
blackmail
us.
you. No, not us. We're going to lead the coalition of the good guys. The other China has picked off other countries one at a time. Okay. No, not us. Not Donald Trump. He doesn't shy away from a fight. That's when he gets interested.
KT, great to have you with us. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. KT McFarland.